Disclaimer. If you are a meatarian, vegetarian, pescatarian, or fruitarian, this video is not for you. I'm not backing up your unnatural diets with science because they are all fundamentally lacking. I am not a doctor and I cannot provide any medical advice. Viewer discretion is advised. Humans, also known as Homo sapiens, similar to every other animal, have a specific ecological niche in the ecosystem. The longest ecosystem inhabited by Homo sapiens is the tropical and subtropical savanna. Examples of this ecosystem in the modern world include coastal Oaxaca, Tanzania, Rajasthan, India, Bolivia, and Brazil. These regions are where Homo sapiens have spent the majority of our evolutionary timescale. Even if you are a biblical literalist, this biome is the Garden of Eden, according to scholars. This means our gut biome, anatomy, and physiology are completely adapted to thrive in these conditions. God agrees, and science agrees. A cockroach can live in Alaska, hoping that somebody's house is warm enough that it can thrive. But in reality, it thrives much better in the jungles of Central America, Africa, and Asia. Humans are the exact same, highly adaptable using technology and exploiting heating, clothing, and supplements to stimulate vitamin D exposure. However, these things are not natural for our biology. The inside of offices are set to a crisp 75 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the average morning and evening temperatures in the tropical savanna. We are literally turning cold climates into hot ones so we may inhabit them. We as humans spent millions of years in Africa because we could not leave without technology such as animal skins, fire, and shelters. The most natural place for primates to inhabit is the tropics and margins of subtropics. This also is coincidentally the densest places in the world as far as human population is concerned, due to how easy survival is. With near year-round sun, agriculture, fruits, and weather, this is the most suitable place for primate life. Now that we agree that we are from the tropics and subtropics, according to the fossil record and DNA, we can move on to the next point, which is that we are biologically primates. Human beings are indeed primates, and I know a lot of people who will disagree with that, mainly on the basis of religion. But no worries, I have another video coming out representing these ideas from a Christian perspective. Human beings share 98.8% of our DNA with bonobos and chimpanzees. We share 96% with gibbons, 92% with Oaxacan spider monkeys, 75% with ring-tailed lemurs, 50% with rainbow trout, 40% with hissing cockroaches, 30% with sponges, 25% with bracken ferns, and 10% with psilocybe cubensis mushrooms. Because the single origin of life, we all share some biological ties to the beginning of creation. Let's look at the hands of bonobos and humans. You will not find this level of detail in even lemur hands. This is a signature of great apes and some lesser apes like baboons, which share 94% of our DNA. If we have these ridges, it makes you wonder why we would be the only animals on Earth to have these ridges other than great apes. Skeletal models show the same thing: teeth placement, long arms, excellent brachiation, some organs that represent human organs and are nearly 98% similar, digestive systems with slight differences, and look at those fingernails, look at those eyes, and look at that nipple. So if humans share 98.8% of genetic material with bonobos, does that mean that bonobos are 98.8% the image of God? Hard to say. But what we are sure of is that we are genetically so similar that almost every disease plaguing the earth today has come from primates. HIV, dengue, chikungunya, yellow fever, Zika, West Nile, Ebola, Marburg, leprosy, syphilis, malaria, monkeypox, herpes, and the list goes on, and I could make a 10-minute video naming common, popular diseases around the world today amongst the populations of humans that have come from primates. Yes, those mosquito-borne illnesses that I first named early on in the list first evolved in primates getting bit by mosquitoes. Aedes aegypti, the mosquito responsible for malaria, dengue, yellow fever, etc., can only live off of human blood and cannot drink the blood of pigs, cows, chickens, deer, or any other animal, except for primates. This is another solid example that if a creature such as mosquitoes can only reproduce with human and primate blood, that we share enough biosimilarities to classify us within that group. Not to mention, only great apes and humans show such refined levels of intelligence. That would make sense if we were related. But don't take my word for it. Take DNA, fossil records, zoonotic disease, chromosomes, and our diet. Humans separated from bonobos and chimpanzees around 6 million years ago, a relatively short time evolutionarily speaking. This means we share 90% of the same dietary needs that our fellow primates do. Animals eat unprepared foods. No animal on the entire planet has to prepare their food by altering its fundamental state for consumption. Primates do not prepare fruits, sharks do not prepare fish, bears do not prepare berries, roots, and salmon. Hawks do not prepare rodents, and everything from barnacles to elephants do not prepare their food before consumption. This is because all animals, and us, have been made to fulfill a niche in the ecosystem, not to struggle to constantly prepare chemically inedible things to us to change them into edible things. We also, like every other biotic organism on Earth, are not the exception. Humans do not need to prepare what we have been created to eat. We as human beings are naturally attracted to bright, multicolored food. Look at candy, for example. All fruit flavored, brightly colored, unusually in the shape of bugs, and very sweet. $1 trillion global industry. Candy is successful because it takes advantage of our natural desire for fruit and insects. Unfortunately, it is extremely processed and nutritionally void, but very cheap to produce, and garners millions, billions, trillions of dollars in profit annually. Have you ever found it weird that so much candy is in the shape of insects? If we can agree that we are inhabitants of the subtropical/tropical biome, that we are primates with very similar digestive systems and are supposed to eat unprepared foods like every other creature, what is it that we are supposed to eat from that region with this biology that we have? Human beings, like all primates, are primarily frugivores. Now don't get too excited, fruitarians, because we are not purely fruit-eating animals. If humans ate only fruit, you'll end up looking like this guy. Human beings must eat insects, as fruit does not contain any B12, omega-3, or have high enough iron or calcium to sustain a primate, especially with all of its locomotion in the canopy, requiring tons of protein for muscle maintenance. We should not be eating meat either as our main protein source. Carnivores have short intestines, with hyperacidic stomachs to destroy parasites, and quickly expel meat to prevent rot. Human stomachs are long, and designed for long bacterial digestion of plants, insects, fruits, tubers, nuts, and seeds to compost, in a sense. This is all similar and the same that you would find in any primates whatsoever. It's not that meat isn't useful for carnivores, it's that human stomachs are long, and meat rots more than it digests. This is why people who eat a lot of meat have foul-smelling body odors, chronic GI issues, heartburn, and their bowel movements smell rancid. Their body and digestive tracts are literal fast food dumpsters, full of rotting meat. They then wonder why they develop stomach cancers and blood diseases. Comparatively, the human body is designed to eat insects, which even God in the Bible condones, saying that an insect with 2 jumping legs and 4 walking legs is right for the children of Israel to eat. Jesus said that John the Baptist was the greatest of all men born of woman, and he lived in the woods and ate insects and wild honey. Eating insects is natural, even if you don't believe we're primates. If you're a Christian or a hardcore young earth creationist, God himself agrees and science agrees, yet Western culture lags behind. If we compare termites, you can see that termites destroy beef when it comes to the best meat source for macro and micronutrients. Termites can be absorbed for significantly more calories, nearly twice as much protein, twice as much fat, yes, twice as much fat as that dripping steak on your plate, 400% more iron for blood, more zinc, infinitely more calcium for bone growth, tons of magnesium, not to mention where beef stops, insects keep going. Vitamin A, which beef has none of, and a hefty amount of omega-3 oils. This is just termites. Insects all have their own heavy hitters for fats, protein, and other macros like chicken, pork, or beef. Insects have termites and grasshoppers. Where beef has 26 grams of protein and termites have 40, grasshoppers have almost twice as much as termites, or 4 times as much as beef at 70 grams. They are leaner with less fat than termites, but they make up for it with twice as much zinc necessary for immune function, and an extremely high amount of omega-3 at 1 gram per 100 grams, and they also have high B12 as well for vital nerve function. I also want to mention that insects are significantly more compact.
And to live off of beef, you need 3 times the weight that you would need from insects to live. This is why it's actually worth the time of a 400-pound gorilla to eat termites off of a stick slowly. Each bite is 3 times its weight in beef. And on top of that, we are highly evolved to digest and absorb 100% of its nutrients. Insects aside, fruit is the second major component of the natural human diet. We don't prepare termites, we don't prepare fruit. It's easy to be eaten, and already in the trees our long arms were made for. If humans do not eat fruits and vegetables, you will die. The Inuit, who live exclusively on meat, have to still live by eating the stomach contents of reindeer, which contain digested plants. That's how serious plants are for your health. A human being can live their entire life off of only mangoes, bananas, grasshoppers, and seaweed. Not that you'd want to live like that, but the fact that you can live off of that to all the way up to your expected life expectancy shows that there is no deficit found from eating insects and fruit. This is the way our diet is meant to be, mostly fruit, with some insects and vegetables. Fruit has actually evolved alongside hominids, making themselves more and more enticing to us so that we climb them and spread their seeds as far as we go. The most natural fruits for primates, and the fruits with the highest preference according to studies, show that 1. Figs are the most loved fruit amongst all primates and hominids. 2nd is bananas, 3rd is mangoes, 4th is cherimoyas, guavas, avocados, jackfruits, and so on. If you ate these fruits regularly and also consumed grasshoppers and termites, you would be able to completely sustain your diet with maximum health, and you would have all micro and macronutrients that you need. It's also really good to incorporate leafy greens that have vitamin K1 and K2 from fermented foods. These are all fine things for primates to eat. Now a word from the infamous ChatGPT.